Whatever the world throws at you, take it on.
This is my fight song. Take back my life song.
Be unstoppable. The all-new 2015 Ford Edge.
And welcome to the lobby of First Financial Bank in the first 2016 edition of the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show. I'm the voice of the Texans, Kelton Weens, and for the next half hour, Coach and I will talk about games from earlier in the season and this past week, go around the Lone Star Conference as well. We'll also hear from senior point guard Morgan Ashmore. And everyone, please help me welcome the second-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Misty Wilson. And welcome. Welcome. Yeah, they're supposed to clap, but welcome in, Coach. I know you missed the radio show dearly during the offseason.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite part of the job by far.
Now, coming off a big win last night over Angelo State, we'll get to that here in a second, but in the offseason we talked about from year one to year two, you made some adjustments for yourself personally. You know, what did you change in your approach to coaching from last season to this one?
Well, one of the things that, probably the biggest thing that I noticed about myself was that I needed to do a better job of holding them accountable. You know, last year, and I'm sure my players would tell you and me and anyone else that'll listen this too, but last year I feel like I was the nice cop,
right,
and I'm the bad cop this year. But you know, some of them really appreciate it, some of them really respond. And, you know, I don't do it in a demeaning way, but just, you know, holding them accountable for their mistakes and, you know, just not allowing them to be okay and content with what we're doing.
Did that help you get over the adversity of a three-game losing streak that you came into last night? Do you think if you were the good cop that may not have happened?
Well, certainly, you know, and, you know, Coach Hearn has been a great mentor, and we try to get together and talk, you know, after games and in practices and throughout, you know, really since I've taken over as head coach. And, you know, that's one thing he says is, you know, your personality almost has to change, and it does. And, you know, the first year I was just learning so much, and you're almost overwhelmed and just trying to keep your head above water. And so the second year, I feel like I've been able to kind of put that into practice.
Quickly, to bring everyone up to speed, you had Carly Moore, Kathy Thomas in the offseason to the coaching staff. What do they add?
They add energy, you know, knowledge of the program, and those two girls are, you know, they're so loyal, they're so passionate about the game because they played for 4 years, and you know, played for Coach Hearn and I, so they know what it takes to win,
right.
And they're able to kind of bring that to the table and help the girls understand that too.
Well, now we'll talk about the season. We don't have to go over every game in detail. We'll just kind of fire off a little bit. If you want to make a comment, just stop me. But you opened the season with a pair of wins against Concordia Irvine, Texas A&M International, back on November 13th and 14th. Seems like forever ago. You picked up your first loss of the year against what could be a Division II Our Lady of the Lake team in the third game. You traded wins and losses for a little bit. Beat Texas Wesleyan, lost to A&M International. Beat Arlington Baptist, lost to St. Mary's. They beat Oklahoma Baptist. Then you went to Vegas. You won the opening game against Stonehill, and then lost to Montana State Billings to round out your non-conference schedule. Speaking of Vegas, what a great trip that was. It
was a lot of fun. You know, despite the loss, it was a lot of fun, and I think the girls really enjoyed themselves. And we're just thankful that we had the opportunity to go. And I know that's attributed to a lot of our boosters and the budget that we're allowed to have here at Tarleton. And so it was a great trip. It was good team bonding, and you know, I thought it was a good time, and I was really worried about it, but I was able to relax and enjoy myself.
You're taking a bunch of college kids to Vegas. Sometimes you just never know what could happen.
Exactly, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
You went out a day early. Did that help you get Vegas out of your system a little bit, and then just focus on playing some basketball?
I think it definitely did, and that was something that we had learned the year before playing in Florida. You know, we tried to go out, you know, the day before, and it was just so much travel, and the girls were exhausted. And by the time we played, you know, they were worn down, and we lost that first game. And so this year we just flipped it. We won the first one and then lost the second one. But yeah, they were able to kind of relax and enjoy themselves that first night we got there. And we were able to practice in the arena a couple times before we played there, and that was good.
You took a break after Vegas for Christmas. You came back, opened the LSC, and traveled to Denton and took on Texas Women's. The big story in that game was allowing Texas Women's to score 50 in the paint, 50% from the field is what the Pioneers shot. Give us your quick thoughts on that.
I just thought, and the players know this as well, that our intensity on defense was not what it needed to be, especially going into a conference game against a team that was 12-2, and when you play against teams like that, when you play on the road, really, you have to go in there with the mindset that you're not going to shoot as well, but you've got to defend. And at home, you can kind of count on hopefully shooting well, and not that your defense can be worse, but like last night, our defense was great. And our offense was great, and that makes it easy. But when your offense isn't always great, you've got to be able to defend, and we didn't do that at Texas Women's.
Second game of the conference slate, you played Cameron, your home opener, to open 2016. That was a kind of a wild game. You were up by 13, we're up at half by 5, we're down by 15, cut it back to 5, and lost by 12. It was really a roller coaster kind of game. And that game, of all things, really kind of exemplified an issue that you and I have talked about, and that was consistency.
Right, and consistency from half to half. I think early in the season we started out as a first half team and then didn't play as well as second half. Then we kind of got to the point where we were behind in the first half, played well the second half, and I think last night we finally put it all together and played 2 halves. But against Cameron, they're a team that they score quick, they push the ball. It's a layup or a 3. It's a very fast-paced game, and I think we had our opportunities to win that. And again, it came down to the defensive intensity in the second half, and it just wasn't there for us.
Pick up your first conference win against Angelo State last night, 94-65. And just a thought, at the half, you shot 54% from the field. And I was joking around with Coach Marks at the halftime. I said, if you shoot 64% from the field in the second half, I think we'll all be really happy. Well, you shoot 63.
You were close.
Yeah, I was pretty close. A really solid team at Angelo State, and you beat them by 29.
Yeah, I thought our girls, all the credit really is to them because they're the ones that have to play the game, but they did a great job of responding because, to be down 0-2 in conference, sometimes that just bothers you. I know it bothered me, and, that was one thing that I felt like that game could have gone either way. Our girls could have come out and not played hard, but they didn't. They came out and executed and played hard, played together, and from top to bottom, all 14 girls that played a big part in that game, and our bench was really involved, and just the energy at that game, I thought was a testament to what our girls and their toughness and their ability to kind of be relentless and to kind of keep plugging away.
Bailey Whiff, Megan Odell, both with career highs. Whiff with 22, Odell with 21. Bailey, in particular, she's been on fire of late. 20 against Women's, 18 against Cameron, and 22 last night.
She is. Bailey's so fundamental, so smart. She understands the game so well, and she can score. She can get to the rim. She can shoot a mid-range jumper. She can score from the three-point line, and she's a coach's dream. And I have several of those coaches' dreams as far as players go. But she's very coachable. Even as good as she plays, if you tell her something, she's going to do it. And those are the ones that coaches love to have.
Final question about Angelo State. I don't know about assistant coaches in this conference. They tend to hang in the same circle, but ASU's coached by Kevin Baker in his first season at Angelo State, 5-year assistant at West Texas while you were an assistant here at Tarleton. Talk about your relationship. Do you know Coach Baker?
I do. He's a very, very nice man, and I've talked to him a lot. When he was at UT Tyler, he would call us and ask us about players, and he always kept up with our season and congratulated us. And even last night, he talked to us and gave me some encouraging words before the game. And he's a very good guy, and he's done a great job with that program. He turned it. He didn't inherit the greatest of situations, and he's turned it around pretty quick.
Morgan Ashmore coming up after the break. What can you say about her? She's had a great year.
She has. She's done a great job of leading this team, and that's probably her greatest. I know that's what she wants to be known for, is leading this team, and she's done a heck of a job of that. She does a great job of seeing the floor and making plays when people don't even realize that there's a play to be made. She understands the game. Being a coach's kid, that really helps. But yeah, she's done a great job, had a great year, and I think she's going to continue to get better and better.
Well, that's going to do it for our first segment here on the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. When we return in 1 minute, I'll chat with Texan senior point guard Morgan Ashmore, and when the Misty Wilson radio show continues right after this. And welcome back to First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'm now joined by senior point guard for the Tarleton Texans, Morgan Ashmore. Welcome to the show, Morgan. You've done this a couple of times. You're old hat at this. Now, talk about that game last night against Angelo State. That was really what this team needed, was a great blowout win like that over a good ASU team.
It was, and I think with our conference season starting 0-2, we needed a big win for energy and some motivation kind of for the younger ones maybe to see what it feels like to get a conference win in our conference. And Angelo's beaten some good teams and have beaten us even. So to blow them out like that and come out and play like that when we really didn't have a lot behind us yet was pretty big for us.
You faced some challenges this year, 3-game losing streak, we talked about it. What was your approach coming into that to try to handle that adversity, you know, because sometimes if you lose 3 straight for the first time in a long time, you can think that the sky is falling. How did you keep from thinking that?
You approach it with a different attitude than the sky's falling. We had to come in and listen to the things that Coach Wilson and Coach Marks and our GAs were telling us to work on, and they were watching a lot of film and seeing the little stuff that we were doing wrong and fixing everything, and for us to just listen and respond and trust in them and know that what they were doing was going to work with us obviously clicked last night. So we've been putting together good practices and trying to put together a full game, and obviously we did do that.
Kingsville, Midwestern State coming up this week. The Javelinas much improved over a season ago. Midwestern State's down a little bit this year. You know, preview that one, both of them on the road.
Kingsville's a hard place to play just because the drive's so long, and
it's a meat locker as
we
well.
travel a good fan base, but it's still not an advantage. And so Kingsville is going to be tough just to play our game on that court, and then Midwestern obviously is always just torturous playing in there because the fans are terrible and you'll get yelled at the whole game, but it's fun. The atmosphere's fun, so that brings a lot of energy for us.
So we just got back from Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada, and that was a great trip. That was a great time. I met your brother for the first time in Vegas as well. But you traveled back with the team, and then whenever you got to Dallas, you got on a plane and went back to Vegas.
Yes.
Family Christmas.
Basically,
right?
I traveled about 15 family members to Vegas, which it wasn't even just immediate family, it was cousins, aunts, uncles. So I kind of went back and we had a night or two together just to have like a little Christmas in Vegas away from everything, and it was so much fun.
Where'd you stay?
We stayed at the MGM.
Ooh, I love the MGM. Yeah. Now I want to talk about this. I went to the Panhandle over the summer, and I met a guy who's now our mutual friend out of the blue. I just met him, and he told me this story. That's an interesting story about you, one that you were stolen or kidnapped, and he made it sound like it was a life or death fight for you when you were younger in Spearman, Texas.
I was 5, and I grew up in Health Center.
Okay.
My dad's a Health Center kid, my mom's Plainview, so we lived in Health Center when I was little.
If you don't know about Health Center, it's
bitty town
just as big as Spearman, yes.
And so I was younger, my grandparents lived right down the street, and so walking somewhere was not a big deal. My best friends lived across the street. You knew everybody. So I was walking to my grandparents' house, and there was a car sitting at an intersection with a stop sign, and I was walking across the street, going around the car, and the guy jumped out and did pull me into the car, and he took off, and the door was open the whole time. So he took off down the street, and luckily, a little bit down the street, there was a family on the corner, and they were good friends of ours. And I didn't know if it spooked him or what, and obviously I was freaking out, throwing a fit.
Right.
But the man kind of jumped out in the street, kind of spooked him a little bit, and so the door was open the whole time. So when he turned to go down the alley to leave town, he threw me out the other way. And so I was pretty scratched up, but I ran home, and it was tough. I can picture everything perfectly. I know what he looks like still. I know the car. So it bothered me when I was younger. I started kindergarten not too long later, so that was tough. But
what an experience, and we're glad that you made it out of that, for sure. Now let's move on. It's your senior year, averaging almost 7 points per game, which is up considerably from a season ago. What are you doing differently that helps out your average? You wanted to be quicker, and you wanted to shoot the ball a lot more coming into this year. I know that.
Shoot the ball better. I kind of go into a slump, but like I said, we just listen to practice, and they help with what's open and making good decisions, and you just got to listen to what they're saying in practice because they're watching our film and we're watching our film, and they see stuff that we don't see, and so they'll come in and they'll say, look, this wasn't here, and they'll break down the offense and show me what to look for. And so breaking down the offense gives me different looks, and just being a leader on the floor, basically getting the ball where it needs to go. I mean, obviously we have guards that are scoring 20 points a game, and so when they're hot, they're the ones that need the ball in their hands, and it's kind of my job to get it there.
Your sophomore season, you tear your ACL. You come back from that last year. Did coming off that injury kind of affect your confidence a little bit last year, and you may not have that hurdle quite so much this year?
Not really. It was it wasn't my ACL. That was actually a long story.
Oh, okay.
It was my PCL, but we went to the doctor, and he told me it was my ACL, and we scheduled surgery and everything, and he told me that Coach Hurd didn't want an MRI. I didn't have to get one, and my mom was like, we told him no, scheduled surgery for the brace, and then I got one, and it came back, and it was not my ACL. That was one of the biggest scares ever. So, no, I did a good rehab, and I didn't even wear my brace for that long, so it really didn't scare me. I mean, I was going to be okay today, and I was going to play today, so it's kind of like either go at it or be scared.
Final question, again, senior season. Talk about what you want to leave to this program. What's your mark that you want to leave at Tarleton State and on this women's basketball program?
The same mark that the people I've played with left with me. I've had one of the most special careers at Tarleton State. I've played with a two-time All-American, Kiera, and I can remember plays from all 4 years. Carly, Brianna Bledsoe. Our teams have been special every year I've been here, and we talk about that with our younger girls, that the people that I played with my past 4 years are still some of my best friends. We still get together, we see each other everywhere, we talk all the time, and it's just something that carries over for life. It wasn't just 4 years of basketball, it's friendships that I carry with me all the time. And that's what I want those girls to see it as, is we're not just teammates, like this is a lifelong thing, and it's special on the court and off the court as well.
Well, thanks for your time today, Morgan, and good luck this season, and we will talk to you soon for sure.
Thank you.
When we come back in 1 minute, Coach Wilson will rejoin the broadcast, and we will take you around the Lone Star Conference as the Coach Misty Wilson radio show continues on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. And joining me again is the head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Misty Wilson. I'd like to thank Domino's Pizza for providing our pizza for our bank audience today. Coach, time for us to take a look at the Lone Star Conference scoreboard from the last week. And again, like we did earlier, I'll just kind of run through some games. If you want to comment, then just stop me. Kind of a slow start to the conference schedule, as some of the teams didn't play a conference game until last night, even though that last night was your third LSC game. And on New Year's Eve, West Texas hosted Cameron and beat the Aggies 69-58. And then on January 2nd, Midwestern State went to Denton and took on Texas Women's, and the Pioneers would win that one 71-45. On Tuesday night, Texas Women's traveled to Eastern New Mexico and walked out of Portales with a 59-54 win over Eastern. What, if anything, have you seen out of Eastern New Mexico? To me, they seem like they've certainly improved a lot over last season, and they weren't a bad team last year either.
They weren't. It looks like they've got some pretty good post players, because I was watching the live stats on that Texas Women's Eastern New Mexico game, and I know Erin Maxwell really struggled from the field. The Specter girl really struggled, and I think their post players had some success against those two big girls. So they're doing something right if they play them to 5 points.
Texas Women's is kind of interesting because they may not score a whole lot of points there. They may not be draw-dropping like Angelo State, for example, but they just make a whole lot of high percentage shots, and all that runs through Erin Maxwell.
It does. It helps when you're 6'3" and
yes.
As big as she is. So, but yeah, they're very good.
Last night, West Texas A&M defeated Midwestern State by a final of 85-68. Again, WT looks to be very tough this year, the new #1 team in the nation this week.
I saw that they got that ranking.
And then Texas A&M Commerce, Kingsville both got their conference schedules underway with a meeting in Commerce, and Commerce took that one 85-61. Commerce, another good solid team coming up this season in East Texas. Taking a look at the upcoming games this week in the conference, tonight it's Eastern New Mexico hosting Cameron in a rare Thursday night LSC conference game. Then there are 4 games on Saturday, with West Texas traveling to Denton to take on Texas Women's in a battle for first place in the conference. That figures to be a good one.
Yes, I think it'll definitely be a good one. They've got West Texas has a couple big girls.
Yeah.
They've got some girls that can match up with that size, and Maxwell inside. So that should be a pretty good game.
Then Commerce heads to San Angelo for a date with the 7-4 Rambells of Angelo State. Eastern New Mexico has its first conference road game of the season as they head to Midwestern State. Tarleton and Kingsville comes up on Saturday as well, which we'll preview in a moment. On Sunday, West Texas A&M's at Cameron as WT has the back-to-back. They go to Cameron for a rematch of their first meeting this season, and we play Texas Women's twice within about 3 weeks of each other, and WT plays Cameron twice within about 3 weeks of each other. Do you know why that happened that way in the conference?
No, it's just such a weird schedule because of the uneven numbers and Texas Women's not having a men's team. They just kind of try to piece them in where they can, and it just kind of ends up that way. And I'm just thankful. I know we have some games. I think the week of January 18th we have 3 games that week. I'm just really thankful we don't have that back-to-back because that is tough.
Yes. On Wednesday, January 13th, 4 games in the conference, all of them beginning at 5:30. West Texas is in San Angelo to take on Angelo State. Figures to be a lot of scoring in that one, the top 2 offenses in the conference. Commerce visits Cameron. Eastern New Mexico visits Kingsville, and Tarleton at Midwestern State, which we'll talk about in a second as well. You've got a pair of games coming up this week. First, we get on the bus tomorrow and head to Texas A&M Kingsville with a much improved Kingsville team in Wade Scott's second year. They're 5-6. They were 0-26 last year, so any win for the Javelinas is much improved. Preview that matchup for us.
It should be a good matchup. Like Morgan said, it's a hard place to play, and just the road trip in itself. But we're going to go up tomorrow evening and practice there, and then we'll have our shoot around Saturday morning. So we'll get a couple of practices in before we play. And they're post players. While they don't score as much inside, they're very, very active, and they keep you on your toes as defenders. And then their guards can really score, get to the rim. They can score in transition, and they kind of mix it up between zone and man. So
Kevin Baker at Angelo State and Wade Scott at A&M Kingsville, they both really cleaned house this year, and I think that would be tough. Have you ever had to do that before, where you had so many new players coming in at once?
No.
No,
and I don't plan on it. You try to spread your classes out evenly, and you try to recruit good kids that that you don't want to get rid of, that are almost irreplaceable, and I feel like we've done that year in and year out.
Next Wednesday, head to DL Legan Coliseum in Wichita Falls. MSU and play Midwestern State. They're on a 9-game losing streak. They're 1-12 right now in the conference. It's really unusual for a Noel Johnson team at Midwestern State to have just 1 win at this point in the season. And they made the NCAA tournament last year. And you watched them in Vegas. What did you see out of MSU?
First of all, I want to say Noelle, she's really a class act.
Yes.
I really
Fantastic.
like her, and I think she's great for this conference. She had, again, I think they lost 7 or 8 seniors.
Right.
And, that's really hard because that's almost a rotation. For them, that was their rotation. They played a pretty short rotation, so really none of those girls that were at the end of the bench got a whole lot of playing time unless it was just a blowout win for them, and they didn't have very many of those last year. So, it's a hard situation, but I'm pretty confident that she's going to continue to coach, and at some point those girls are going to respond. So, you can't count anybody out in this conference. And even if she struggles through the year, I know she's going to turn it around next year. So,
Lone Star Conference, second best conference in the nation, according to Hero Sports. Coach, well, that does it for our LSC segment. When we come back in 1 minute, Coach and I will wrap up the first edition of the first Coaches Show of the year. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Again, thanks to Domino's Pizza, 4-hour live audience today. Coach, how about some giveaways?
hey, I'm always down for some giveaways.
We've got some prizes. You see, if I call your name, you go see Terry Hardcastle off to my left. You'll select a card. It's got your prize on it. We've got a Tarleton hat, a Tarleton shirt, a couple of First Financial Bank shirts, and a First Financial Bank umbrella. Our first winner today is Tommy Matthews.
Hey,
Where's Tommy? All right.
There you go. He and his wife are so sweet. Last year, every game, they brought us goodie bags to the bus every time we departed somewhere. So
They were great.
Big fans.
Popcorn, and it's a Tarleton shirt for Tommy. Congratulations to Tommy. And Coach, you've got the announcement of the second winner.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's still here or not. She might have taken off, but Maya Wilson.
He's right there.
She is still here. Okay. I'm keeping tabs on her. Skipping school today, won a drawing.
That's not too bad for Maya.
No, she's actually not skipping school. She wasn't feeling well.
She wins a First Financial Bank shirt. So congratulations to Maya and to Tommy, both our winners today. We'll go over some quick announcements. First, the Coach Lon Reisman radio show coming up. Comes back tomorrow at noon on the corner of Lillian and the South Loop. That's Bruner Motors, from the lobby of Bruner Motors. Coach and Casey Hogan will join every Friday for the rest of the season. Second, make sure you download the new Tarleton mobile app. Just go to the iTunes App Store, the Google Play Store, and search Tarleton Sports. The app allows you to watch games, listen to live radio broadcasts, keep up with the news, and a whole lot more. Again, the new Tarleton Athletic mobile app for from the iTunes App Store or the Google Play Store. Download it today. To get text alerts about upcoming Tarleton events, text the word Texans to 95577. To sign up for mobile alerts about upcoming Tarleton State events. Again, that's Texans to 95577. And final announcement, and I'd like to turn this into the final question for you as well. It was announced earlier this week that former coach Ronnie Hearn and former player Katie Crawford would be inducted into the 2016 class of the Tarleton Athletics Hall of Fame. That ceremony coming up in May. They join 4 other members of Tarleton's past, and both of those people have been very instrumental in your life. And what does that mean to you, and how proud are you of that?
They have been instrumental in my life, and they still are. And again, to reference something Morgan said, that's the thing about this program, is that these friendships, these relationships are for life. And I'm not going to go into how precious Coach Hearn is to me, because I could probably get emotional, but. Both of them are so deserving, and Katie was a big part of us turning this program around, and being the first recruit that Coach Hearn and I had together, and so I'm excited for her. She's still a very good friend of mine, and she was actually at our game at Denton, and so she still comes to games when she can, and then Coach Hearn, just the things that he was able to do with the program, because I had the opportunity to see it from where it was. And then what he did with it, and I got to watch that whole process. And I know those first 2 years he really did it on his own. At least those first 2 or 3 years he really did it on his own, because I was just kind of standing back and learning. I was a new coach, and I just watched and did whatever he told me to do, and it really paid off. And I hope I got better and better every year in helping him out. Coach Hearn will be joining us next week on the Misty Wilson Radio Show. Coach, thanks for your time today. That's going to do it for our first edition of the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show. I'd like to thank Senior Morgan Ashmore for stopping by today. Also, Aaron Young back at the KGRL studio, our on-site engineer, Mr. Jody Lee Cuttle from KWBY. He does a great job. Nathan Burrell, Ryan Cox from Tarleton Sports Information. We really can't do what we do without their help. Texan graduate assistant coach Jake Stevens gets some thanks for all his hard work as well. Also like to thank Domino's Pizza for the lunch today, and First Financial Bank for being such great hosts. And most of all, I want to thank everyone for attending and listening, and for your great support of Tarleton State Athletics. It's truly an honor to get to entertain you, or to try to entertain you at least for half an hour every Thursday. For the second-year head coach of the Texans, I'm Kelton Wayne saying so long, and we will talk to you on Saturday night from Kingsville, Texas.